Hello and welcome. Finally, it's here. We have Global Lens, Women Executive Leadership. It's International Women's Day. We're here, we're celebrating. We have an action-packed day ahead of us. We have 4 panels. Each panel will be 45 minutes. And I will be hosting this, moderating this. I'll be asking the questions. But if you have any questions as attendees, please raise your hand or put them in the chat and we'll get to that. So I think that's all I want to say. So my name is Susanne Mueller, as they call me in Germany. In the US, it's Susanne Mueller. It's a little different. I'm very happy to start with a German panel here. So to look at the European discussion. And I know yesterday was a very important day, but we want to hear from the panelists. So first they introduce themselves and then I will ask them a few questions, and that's the program for today. And everything will be recorded. After the summit is over, I will have the videos ready for you. You can listen to whatever panel you want or just check in with me and let me know what questions you have after the event. So very happy to be here. Very happy to have everybody here. Can we start with Monika? And we have all the information in the chat. So if you go up to the chat to the very top, there is everybody's information with the website and also the LinkedIn information. Monika, welcome. Monika is in Hamburg.
Yep, thank you very much. Yeah, very sunny Hamburg. So sun is shining on Women's International Day. So that's perfect. And yes, who I am. I'm CEO and CPOO of Global Division. And I'm an expert in organizational and people development with more than 20 years experience now in sales, marketing, business development, and development of people in new markets. So, and it's my passion is Education 4.0, how I call it, and I try to show that digitization in education processes offers new opportunities throughout the lifespan when people are brought into focus.
Wonderful, thank you. We need more of you. I think that's what I will say the whole day. We need more of Monika. Okay, let's go to Henrike.
Yeah,
welcome.
hello. Thanks for inviting me, Susanne. Thanks for being here. It's a pleasure seeing you here and seeing the others coming into the room. My name is Henrike von Platen, and I've been fighting for equal pay and women's rights for quite some time now. And in the time that I was president of the Business and Professional Women, when I actually met Susanne, I was sort of the patron of the Equal Pay Day in Germany, and we made a big move out of it. And in 2017, I then founded the Fair Pay Innovation Lab with the one and only goal as a not-for-profit company to reach fair pay for everybody, which means all human beings worldwide. So that's the mission I'm on. We are sort of on track, rocketing to Planet Fair. It's fast speed. And I really look forward to talking to with you about all these issues on especially this day.
Yeah, wonderful. Again, we need more of you and we have many questions for you, right? And also Tamara, thank you so much for being with us. Who is Tamara and what do you do? Yes.
Tamara from sunny Hamburg as well as Monika. And who I am, I'm a founder and managing partner of a small consulting firm, and I'm working on restructuring of companies in crisis and financial crisis. And I started my career at PwC as an auditor in the assurance department. My typical career, like tax advisory, German CPA, and then I was for, I think, about 12 years as CFO in different companies, different industries. And since 2013, I'm working on restructuring. And this is to be honest, this is my work that I love, really. So, and my dad always said to me when I was small baby, I would say, my dad always said to me, hey, you can do everything, you can be everything, you just have to do it. And And for me, it was, in my mind, it was always like this. So, and I was working always in I would say in business, in typical man-dominated business. In Germany, it's like this. It's an audit. In this time, audit assurance was man-dominated, and industry, CFO in industries as well. And now in restructuring, it's still like this. So I don't know why, but perhaps I was always searching for this challenge. And I think when I was about 50 years old, it came in my mind that there's something that's not that good, that it won't work how it should be, that it's a different, there's these special glass ceiling, and I always hit against it, and I never managed it. So I think when I was about 50, I started to be more engaged in the things like equal pay, like women in leadership positions, and I would say helping the next generation to be faster than we've been.
Okay. I like the word faster, because when I was invited to it was before 2020, and they say, yeah, it's going to take another 200 years till we achieve this. And then I spoke to Henrike, and I have to say, with my podcast, Take It From the Ironwoman, we can also unleash and unlock a lot of information. And Henrike convinced me, and I hope also the audience, that it will go much faster. So Henrike, tell us, what is it, that universal fair pay check? How fast can it go? How fast
can it go? Yeah, well, it does hopefully work as what we see as an accelerator. So it is a certification for companies that pay fairly, but it has an accelerating effect on the companies closing the gaps, which then again makes us reach Planet Fair faster, which means that some WEF or whoever calculates 200 and whatever years, that's old stuff, that's history. And it's also done on the historic base. It's always like, if we would keep on doing what we are doing, then it will take so long. But we don't do it like we used to do it. We are changing, we are restructuring in a way.
Yeah, we need all of
the pay systems. So when we do the universal fair pay check, or in general, the mission sort of is, we want to close pay gaps. When we close pay gaps, meaning the gender pay gaps, but also ethnicity, age, whatever you might think of, we want to close them all. So we use the gender pay gap as the KPI to be measured, implement a fair system, and then you will have closed them all. But this one we can measure quite well all over the place. Why is this so important? Because at the moment, old age, we are sort of developing different kinds of measures, diversity measures, whatever measures. We are implementing people in diversity and inclusion positions without a budget and things like that. You all know these stories of the past. Now, if you look into the future and you say, okay, we forget about all these nice things that we could be doing, we just stop them. And I make this like the fast track, we stop everything that we've been doing. We do a really good fair pay analysis. So we really we do a pay analytics in a way, the analysis of all your numbers, of all your structure, how you pay your people. And then you close the pay gap and you say you want to get that down to 0. You will then, of course, have to do lots of the things that you had been doing before, but maybe not all of them. You will start implementing measures that are fitting to your company and to your system and where you stand and how good or bad you already are at certain issues. Maybe you don't have an age problem. Maybe you do. Maybe you pay for tenure, but you don't want to. So you will find out, maybe you already have women in leadership positions, or you don't, but you don't have to do a leadership coaching if you don't need it. Maybe the other company needs it. So it's always like, first check where you are, sort of analyze your position, then develop the measures that you actually need, and then close the gaps. And by just really switching the focus of closing the pay gap, that's the accelerating moment in a way, because you're not like, you can measure it. You will see that it actually closes, and then implement whatever you need, stop something, do something else until it's down to 0. And you have this aim. And we know in business, all of us that what gets measured gets done.
Yeah.
It's true, but why don't we do it with the pay gaps? So it's really not, it's not so hard to say in every boardroom meeting, the pay gap is another KPI, like all those other financial KPIs. Put the pay gap next to it as a KPI, start to measure it, start to drill it down to 0, and we will be there in a couple of years, because we have to be there in a couple of years. I'll take another 90 seconds. You all know the SDGs and the 17 goals that we want to fulfill, the Agenda 2030. 2030, it's 22 now, so it's 8 years.
8 years, it's not that long.
Yeah, and if you don't know it yet, but all those 17 goals are interlinked. We need to first reach equality, equalness of chances and everything. And that means close the pay gaps to be able to reach the other goals because of the interlinkage. If we don't have the good diverse teams, we will not reach it. How do we get diverse teams? By closing the pay gap, we will get diverse teams. So if we close the gap in a couple of years, say 3, 4, maximum 5, we have a chance to actually fulfill all goals by 2030. So that's the rocket speed we need.
Okay.
Yeah,
2030.
8 years.
Yeah, Monika, I want to hear your story when many years ago when we planned, you had this cool story of how you negotiated your salary. I thought that would be interesting to share with the audience.
How I negotiated my salary.
Yeah. Remember you said, this is the salary I want. And what did the person say to you?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right.
This is an important
really,
story.
Really
we don't want to miss that.
Yeah, really crazy story. During the application interview, that board member for marketing and sales, he asked me about my salary ideas, and I told him what I think I need to have, and what what's the price, how to get Monika into the company. And then he said, "What? Are you crazy? Even men does not earn such a lot of money in this position in our company." I said, okay. Interesting. So then, I'm even I'm even good enough to earn this money. I don't know how the potential or the competences of your guys are who are working in this company. Yeah. Nevertheless, this is the moment you will understand. I like to get my documents back, and it's not
have a good day.
It's certainly not. I don't see any way to work together. Crazy.
Thank you for doing this. I think you paved the way for all of us. And I think the message should also be, we need to stand up. And if they say, we don't even pay men that much, okay, then I don't want to be in the culture. Yeah. Great story. Yeah.
That's such a bad sentence, actually, if you really think about it. It's not just because of the money, but we don't even pay men as much. That's really bad.
That should be a message that should go these days on the social media, right? But probably then it
and I'm convinced he didn't recognize what he told me.
No.
Even so, men are not worth to earn that level of money, and a woman. Never ever.
And so tell us what is happening in your world. Like, you wanted to add something, and then I interrupted.
Yes, for me it's interesting. So that Henrike's perspective is from the to see equal pay. And it's interesting, but it's from my perspective is how to develop organizations and how to develop people. Nevertheless, we are coming from the same point. Please, let's have a look what is going on in your company, and let's analyze this, and not let's guess, perhaps they need a bit of this or a bit of that, a little bit of coaching, a little bit of training or whatever. So there is a lot of estimation in within the companies, because they don't know exactly where it comes from. And we tell them, let's make an analysis. Let's see, let's find out, where does it come from? Where are the challenges and where are the problems? I'm not a friend of naming every problem a challenge, because I'm convinced there are problems and we have to take them as problems, because if we only have a look at them a challenge, it seems to be too easy to get over it. So I love to name it. And then we have, Henrike is on the same track, say, hey, we make an analysis, and then we will see where the problems and challenges are, and we can put the finger on it. Sometimes I've got the feeling that a lot of companies or leaders, or no, let them call managers, because when they have already changed into the models to be a leader, they think differently. So managers, make them know and let them feel where to put the salt into the wound. So it does, sometimes I think it has to hurt to make them change. And I love the approach of Henrike. And I think that's what Tamara is also doing when she is working with figures and showing them, hey, that's not working, and it's not. I think it's your competence. So, but sometimes I have the feeling, or the customers mirror back. If the consultants are coming, they want to reduce 10% everywhere. They are not looking if perhaps there is it worth to invest and to reduce more on another hand, so that restructuring persons like you, Tamara, I've got the feeling they are looking more precise what to do than general.
There is the opportunity. Yeah. What do you think, Tamara? Like, if you have a merchant M&A, like merchant acquisition, there is that due diligence. I hear that word, right? So why not add that fair pay?
It's interesting for an M&A deal. I think it's important, and Monika knows that I love numbers, so I'm always working with numbers. And for me, hearing Henrike is I thought on these things like due diligences and M&A transactions, or in company analysis as well. So we all know that diverse teams are performing better. And it's not that they are nicer, because they are really like, we get better numbers with diverse teams. So I was thinking about what the KPIs that Henrike generates in her paycheck and in the with her new it's a new certificate. Would these KPIs help us to know if a company is already diverse enough or is on the right way? I think it's a good way to use these KPIs, or not.
That's a good question.
Yeah. I mean, you have to imagine that when you, of course, you can say you just close the gender pay gap. And then you go and look at it, and then maybe you put a few more women on top where there's much money earned to get the average down, and you can sort of play around with this a bit. But if you want to seriously sort of get the universal fair pay check, meaning not only the first status, but the second and the third, you have to hit such low KPIs, such low numbers, that you will not reach them if you just do a bit of polishing. You will not get there.
Then it's really diverse. It's not only men, women. Okay.
Exactly. It's what we count. It's what we sort of do as final measure. But to get there, they always have to look at everything. And they will be closing different and all gaps that they find. And then come up and say, okay, the gender pay gap is now 0.8, for example, which means that to reach that, you will have to watch for your diverse teams in everything. Otherwise, you will just not reach it. So we don't really need to measure that. We can measure it when the companies have the data. But as it has to be, in my view, a certification that works worldwide in every company, we have to take a KPI that we can measure everywhere. And that's actually the reason why it's focused on the gender pay gap. It could be focused on green or blue eyes. It wouldn't make a difference if you use that KPI as a measurement to set up the fair system. But in some countries, we can have ethnicity in the data and we can check how it looks. In other countries, we cannot do that because it's forbidden. So the companies take the gender pay gap, but they take all the data. And then you find out, do you discriminate more against ethnicity or against blue eyes or against whatever you might think of that you have in your data pot? And that's actually how it works. So it's a bit like a little trick in there saying, okay, it looks like gender, but it's not only gender. So it does definitely help as a KPI. And it would be great if we can actually get this as a KPI. Everybody look at UK, where you already have the how do you call it, the legislation in UK is so that you have to publish your pay gaps already. Now we are in the 4th or 5th year even, I think. So over 10,000 companies in UK, you Google government UK pay gap data, you will be right there, and you can download an Excel sheet of over 10,000 companies and their pay gap data. German companies are there as well because they have
they are listed in UK.
Exactly. So you can look at all the DAXs, you will find them, and you will find their pay gaps, but for their UK part, not for their global. And that makes something, because the moment they publish it, you look at them, year passes, another year passes, people look at the numbers and say, why aren't they changing? Why aren't they doing anything? So you have this naming, blaming, shaming part already there in a way, and they start to move. And there you can see how this KPI works in a way a bit, what it does to the people that look at it. And still, lots don't know it even after 5 years, but it's there. It's really interesting.
So we have to push that the disclosure of this gender pay gap that the big companies in Germany have to do it as well. So
absolutely.
Currently, we have a change in the disclosures, what they have to report. So I think it's a good way to go ahead with this. So currently, it's not that right, but we should do it in the future. Yeah, you're right.
They start somewhere when they have. I just had the report from Simrise, because Simrise got the certificate, and they just came out with their Unternehmensreport, with their company reporting and all the ESG stuff, and they put it in there. If they do things like that, they put it in there. So you will find it on page 61 of this beautiful new report from 2021. You will see, and we are certified with the Universal Fair Pay Check. And they also go out with the number that they have, because it's a good one. So I won't tell you, you research it, then you find the stuff. But it's like the moment the companies do that, even though it's not by legislation, but by free will, is much more fun anyway. So when they do that, they show it. They show it. And that gives that's the other part, Susanne, with the accelerating part. The more companies that actually go out and talk about it just for the fun of it and not because they have to, like UK, but if the companies in UK would go, I've asked Siemens and others here in Germany, I've asked them, I said, here are your numbers, why don't you do that worldwide? No, we don't have to yet. So if they would the what do you say, lawine, the snowball would start running, the avalanche would start, because it's this effect. Okay, they are talking about it. Okay, now I have to talk about it. And suddenly everybody talks about it. And then they drill the numbers down, because you don't want to talk about 10%, you prefer to talk about 1%. So.
And I think when we were planning, and I thought that was so interesting, you said you have a poster child, you gave a person, I don't know, Excel spreadsheet, or they were having fun with the numbers. So maybe we need to talk to the finance person rather than to the human resources person. I'm wondering what Monika or Tamara thinks, right? Because sometimes I come from human resources too, but if you have a finance person, they look at things differently and they manipulate things, and I don't know, that might be the opportunity. Monika, what do you think if we look at things a little differently?
Yes, absolutely. Even if people like you and me, we are having our focus on the how we call soft factors.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, what we need as an outcome has to be measurable, and to measure things is most of the time easier if you have some figures and numbers. So if what we want is to make the company successful in the long term, so we need methods, and even if we place the people into the center, we need to enable them to develop themselves with their company. So how to measure, and so easily if we have the financial people in the boat. And I think even it could be helpful, because everybody knows to establish processes. If it is an integration post-merger integration process or a change process, whatever, it costs money. So we need to be paid. Everybody needs to be paid. And if we have numbers in our hands, how we can, or with
money talks with the numbers,
convince
right?
with these numbers, I think the discussion about what is the price tag on the service or on the to accompany these processes, we will not discuss so many times, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. Tamara, what comes to your mind when you do restructuring? Like, how can you sell this? I'm just curious, like, how can we talk about it more? And that was the reason why I wanted to have this panel, to raise the awareness. If you have one more organization who does it in the US, and I know Janine in Mexico might be very interested, because she said there is a big gap. Why not do a pilot or something? So Tamara, what is your thought? How you can sell that in a merchant acquisition or restructuration?
I think it's I'm not talking as a finance person, so
yeah.
And what I'm thinking is you can calculate me everything, but for me it's important what the outcome at the end, what's the real outcome. What we are all seeing here in Germany or in Europe is that all these ESG factors are more important for the financial institutions, are more important for investors, for everybody. So if we can find out how this certificate, this check, will be helpful to be more in line with the ESG factors, it will be always good for every financial every financial idea, and therefore it's important. So soft factors, really good, but and I know it will be. It's good for the company. It's good for, but at the end, it's always the money that counts. And I'm sure that if we have a better, if more company and more institutions are convinced, more financial institutions are convinced that this check will be helpful, we can use it in restructuring situations, for example, or as you mentioned, in M&A transactions. It will be really, really helpful, because you can see how valuable is what's the real value of the company, what's the future of a company, and if the company is already on the right way. So I think it's a very, very good idea to let the to let all the financial institutions, investors, all them know how good is a company. And so I like this, really.
And also in terms of marketing, go ahead, Monika, sorry.
Yeah, even if we call these factors soft factors, they are, from my opinion, they are not so soft as we think, because finally we create hard facts. Because post-merger integration process, for example, if we don't do it in the right way, we lose people and that costs money. If our company is not an attractive and supporting and a company with a company who is treating the people with respect and valuable leadership, they get ill and they leave the company, and that costs money, a lot of money. So the so-called soft factors, they are so harder as you can imagine.
Yeah, it's just give me a number for it. So you can, I know we can, I calculate this always. So what will be the risk if we will use now these 10 numbers? So will the company still be alive or not? So, but it's always, we all know this, but at the end we have to give a price on it. That's always important. It must be a number and not, we know this.
Absolutely.
And I think
what is also interesting, because of the mergers, I was just thinking, I had a company also where we talked about this, when you do an analysis on your pay data and you do that on all employees of one company, that's okay. Now imagine you have your companies in different countries, and sometimes in the different countries, the pay system is different. So you cannot really put them all into one, but you want to put them all into one. So you have to start to rethink again your pay system. When you get to the point that you merge with somebody, you have two pay systems, usually they are different. And how do you merge these pay systems to end up with one fair system? Doing an analysis here, an analysis there, seeing what you will end up, what do you value from the work that people do in one and the other, and what will it look like once they are together, or things like that. So that's also very, very interesting. And I often have the feeling that some people then think, as an excuse, we cannot do it now because we are doing all this restructuring and thinking, and how could we do a pay analysis? We can't. So I say it's an excuse because I think that's often a good moment actually to do it. And you will not do it and be finished straight away, sure not, but you will have it so much easier to end up with a good system afterwards, instead of putting everything the old way together, whatever comes out of it, and then doing an analysis and then figuring out how do you clean it up again. So doing pay analysis while you are merging somehow is a good idea, to do it as early as possible and then use it. And the people in the companies, in the finance department, in the compensation and benefits, statistical, and they are all in there in the company. They can do that and they love it. And enjoy it, and they will find out how to change things. So that came to my mind. Mergers is really
I think that's a good opportunity. That's a good opportunity. And I think, I know in the US, or I think also in Europe, you have a seal when it's like women-owned companies. So you can have fair pay or best place to work. I mean, that can be also, if young people look at a company where they want to work, if they have this seal, they're like, at least I'm equally paid. And that might be the culture I want to work for. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the reason why I took on the hard run of making it a warranty mark, and not only just a nice picture, but a warranty mark. So it stands for what's inside. So,
and do you have an example of who has implemented it, which country?
Well, we don't go really by country, but the companies that we have done, that we have certified, are from Germany and from Iceland at the moment. We're talking a lot also with Canadians and other countries, but the main ones are Germany and Iceland. We have 3 stages in this certificate: an analyst, developer, leader. And in Iceland, we have leaders. In Germany, we have analysts. So we are on the way. But we have 2 DAX already with the Allianz and Symrise. So, and we have a couple of smaller ones and Sozialholding. So they're great companies in there. They're very diverse. You all find them, of course, if you look on the how does it work on this one? And because you mentioned also, I opened a website while you were talking, and I had a reason for it. I opened the Fair Pay Matrix that we have on our website, which does all the combination. And I think it was Tamara talking about the numbers and the stuff, and how do you sort of explain that? Mm-hmm. And if you look at the Fair Pay Matrix, you find how certain variables are interlinked to indicators like from the UN or the other metrics that we have from the WEF and things like that. So you have the connections to all the ESG reporting and what people are looking at. And you can sort of say, okay, these are all the variables that will probably be checked during an analysis, as long as you have the data, of course. And that's sort of to figure out, okay, what is it that we can discriminate against? What sort of variables exist usually? And that often helps as well if you're in that explaining part, as you said.
Do we have any questions from the attendees? The attendees can raise their hands. I think this is such an important topic that we can go on and on. We could talk the whole day. And Henrike, do you wanna
I see
share?
a name I know. I see Monika Rieser here. Monika, great to see that.
Monique is Monique and I went to school together many moons ago, right? So a long time friend. Thank you so much, Monique, for being here. And Henrike, do you want to share the website that you just opened? Because I think that's an important website, if that's possible to share.
Let's give it to all. Here is the Fair Pay Matrix.
Okay, wonderful. And we have all the information about Monika, Tamara, and Henrike in the chat. So before you leave, make sure you grab this and then you can connect with them. I'm just wondering, Monika, you talk about the soft factors or the soft skills. What is one ask if you look at companies, and especially in the International Women's Day? How can we help? How can we help? How do you see that? How do we go to the future, and how do we help everybody?
That's a very good question, because it is not so easy, I think, because we need a change in the mindset. And you all know that to change a mindset, it is the question how to do so. It's a question of education. It's a question of how are we educating our children? What are we giving them as what is the value frame we are giving these children? We are talking about time. I don't think it is, we need to get faster and faster. Nevertheless, it is a question of generation change. So that we, for example, to be honest, in everybody who knows about the German language, we are talking about gendering in the German language, and it's not so easy, because for me, I never paid attention of if it is feminine or masculine, because for me it hasn't been important. Therefore, I didn't think about that men can earn more than women, because for me it's only a question of being competent or not, not the question of female, male, intersexual, queer, whatever. We are all humans. That's it. I don't care any skin color or whatever. There are stupid white men, a lot of them. Sorry.
Thank you for sharing.
And they are often they are old and have white hair to fulfill my prejudice. No, so I think we need time. We need time, and it is important to pay attention what we are going to teach our children.
Okay.
Then we can avoid a lot of it. And so if you see my colors of today,
I know
I'm symbolizing what is happening here in Europe today. So if we teach our children right, that will never happen again.
Okay. Thank you so much. I saw those colors. Yeah, very nice. And Tamara also, similar colors, right? Yeah. And Henrike, you have to share one more thing. What happened yesterday? And this is an important day.
What happened yesterday? Well, yesterday was Equal Pay Day in Germany, if you refer to that.
Yes, yeah. So I want to say before you go on, it's the Equal Pay Day did research in the US was March 24 in 2021, and this year it's March 15. So we see it's moving, but it's not moving fast enough. So, and then we have to look in the US in all the different Asian, Black, Latina is another topic, but at least it's moving towards January, right? That's what we want to achieve.
Absolutely, yeah. In Germany yesterday, 7th of March, for the first time in history, the Equal Pay Day is before International Women's Day. So, well, that's not a big jump, but it is a jump. But the numbers haven't changed. The statistical office comes out with a few new figures. So they came out yesterday, and the pay gap stays at 18%. So it hasn't moved from last year to this year. It's still at 18%. Okay. But I predict it will really sort of fall down the stairs quite fast in a couple of years because of all the measures we are implementing. Yeah. Monika, you're right, we need time for certain things, but I think that we have already done many things or are still doing things which we can't measure yet, where the statistic is always running a bit behind. So the big, what we call Verdienststrukturerhebung, that happens like where they check everything, that happens every 4 years. In the meantime, they just sort of estimate the gap. And if things get changed and implemented, we can already see that yesterday I was in a panel with Willis Towers Watson, Pay Analytics, and FPI, which is a trio that is also working a lot together on the check. And Willis actually did an analysis on the data that they have from customers in general, anonymous, everything, sort of the whole data. And of that company data, the gap is smaller. It was 16 something than of Germany in total. So you can see that if you look at companies directly and focus, you will find better data already. And with everything we are implementing, we will see that it drops faster because we're looking forward. We're not using the same methods as some years ago. So I'm quite positive and optimistic that we will see this like falling down a staircase effect, let's call it that.
Okay. Slowly but surely. Wow.
No, fast, not slowly.
We don't want to fall. We don't want to break a leg, but we're going to go fast. I like that. This is so inspiring, and moving fast and reaching those SDGs is just important, right? Any final thoughts? Maybe the audience, we don't have anybody, but thank you for being here. Any final thoughts? And we wish everybody in Germany all the best, right? I know it's not the happiest times there, but I thought it's still important that we come together and we unite. Yeah. And I wish all the women in wherever they are in difficult situations only the best. And we're all here to help each other and support each other. I think that should be the invite of Global Lens, executive women leadership, and it's the soft skills where we can be different, right? So we need to have the data, and then it comes to the storytelling. I mean, I see that all the time, even with men, that they forget about the storytelling. But if you have a good story to tell, then people buy it. That's what it is. Any last thoughts?
Thank you so much for this interesting round here. It was lovely to discuss with you all. And Susanne, thank you for organizing it and give us the momentum to have this discussion.
I think it's a start. It should not be the end of this discussion, right? I'm just talking about this round, and I'm very looking forward to all the other panels during the day. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
and I know
very much.
I'm curious I'm curious if we see next year, what's your success in this with this payment certificate, I would call it like this, and if we can reduce the gap in Germany in the next year. So I'm really curious.
Let's work on it.
I'm positive. I think with Henrike on the steering wheel, we can do this, and we want to support you. If you need any support from us, whoever is an attendee, please reach out to Henrike, or Henrike reach out to the people who are attending. Same for Tamara and Monika. I think we should be here. I am always for opening up my network, that we can network easier rather than not supporting each other. So that is my main goal. So thank you so much. This was the first panel, and we continue in 15 minutes with the next one. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.